Hi, I'm Ashley Adamson, and I just recovered from COVID, so my voice is a little messed up. I hope you excuse me for that. I want to talk about hooking up because I've been hooking up since I broke up with my boyfriend about 3 months ago, and I've been kind of trying to figure out what to do next. Should I be seeking out my next boyfriend? Probably not, because I just broke up and I need some hard time to recover from that. You know, it's never good to just go right into another relationship after a relationship, right? But it was an 8-month relationship. It's not super long. And so I've just been saying, hey, well, you know, what's out there? What can I play with? What can I enjoy? And I met this guy, and I met this guy on Grindr because that's where I seem to find all the hot guys. I mean, there's hot guys elsewhere, but all the hot guys who I don't have to deal with any of that nonsense around being trans, they seem to be on Grindr. And since you are desired on Grindr and you're more of a rare jewel than you are kind of like a thing that gets kicked down and pushed around. There are people like that on Grindr too. There's plenty of people like that, but there's a few good ones. And so I met a good one. Super hot. He's a little bit taller than me. He's got full body tattoos, but like artistic ones. He's got like kind of long hair, square jaw, like kind of like rough around the edges, but also very understanding and very easy to talk to, very gentle when he wants to be, but also very dominant. And I was like, oh my God, check. You're a great sex partner. And when he took off his shirt and I saw the ripples of his abs and also his dick, which is, it's like 9 inches. So I think it's bigger than my dildo. And I'm like, I don't even measure my dildo size, but like here's my sex toy. Here's a sex toy. This is not my sex toy. It's not the only sex toy, but it was like, it's probably like that. And like, you see this, it's probably more like that. So, really big. And honestly, it kind of hurt because it was so freaking big, but more disappointingly, it was so big. I didn't think about this, but this kind of makes sense. When you have a really big dick, guys with big dicks, you can probably relate. If you have and girls with big dicks, girls can have big dicks too. If you have a big dick, the amount of blood that you have to pump to this thing is insane. And so his difficulty was he had to keep doing this to keep it engaged, to keep it on. And I didn't really realize this. And maybe this is a generalization because I'm sure some people have really, I've had some times with big dicks that are just so big and they stay rock solid. But he had to kind of keep, you know, moving along and actioning to kind of keep it hard and everything. And so that was actually a little difficult for anal because he would have to push it in and then he'd have to get going to keep it in. But I mean, I don't know if you do anal, but for me, I can't do anal where it's just like, okay, shove it in and just keep going and plow right through that. I mean, that sounds really hot. And I will get to that in about 5 or 10 minutes of sex, but I can't get to that right now. I'm just trying to keep my nervous system from freaking the fuck out because someone just shoved something really big in my tight little asshole. It's almost like borderline dirty talk right now. Like, I'm getting a little like turned on by this. I don't know if you're into dirty talk like this, but yes, I have a tight little asshole. But I don't call it my asshole. Obviously, I call it my pussy in certain situations. And so, yeah, so we did this a few times, but every single time I was never aroused and I never orgasmed because I was never aroused. And I thought to myself, like, how's that possible? Because he's a physically gorgeous specimen. He's doing things and touching me, and he's got an amazing body. He makes me feel safe. He's understanding, and he's just like a really chill dude. Like, there's nothing wrong here. But he's not emotionally available because he has lost a part of himself since his breakup with his partner of 8 years or whatever. And that was a while ago. That was 2 years ago, but he still hasn't figured it out. And so this helped me realize this guy was actually such a perfect specimen with just one missing thing, the emotional aspect, that it made me realize something about myself. And this is something that I want you to think about in your life, which is when you don't know something, how do you figure out how to know something, right? You have to try things and then test the water by trying them out, and find by kind of calling in and putting your attention on yourself, on your heart and your mind and your body. Does this feel right? Is this for me? When I was transitioning and trying to figure out if I was a woman, it was wear dresses, maybe just do it in private, eventually go out and desexualize it and figure out if this is actually you. And every time I would do that, I'd go, oh my God, this is so right. Like, this is so me. This feels right. And then when I went on my first date with a guy, as a girl, it was just like, oh my God, Jesus, like, what have I been missing? So I just discovered this with hookups. Without the emotional connection, Ashley can't get aroused. Ashley doesn't want to have sex. Ashley's not enjoying that. I have like a crazy kinky mind. The kind of online hentai porn like stuff that I'm reading, it's like pretty dirty. Not in like the dirty sense, by the way. Like, I have met guys where I'm like, yeah, I like dirty things, and then they're like, trying to get me to do stuff with pee and poop, and I'm like, no, I'm not that dirty. Not that dirty. There's like a line there. I mean, like, I could try pee, but I'm never gonna do poop, definitely. And don't kiss me or put your dick in my mouth after you did anal or something. But with hookups, it's just a no. Like, when you have someone who is so right in all the other aspects and it's still not working after 3 times, hello, Ashley, you got to move on. So I've moved on, and I've kind of like figured out hookups are not for me, put that aside. And now what do I do? Like, do I start? I mean, this is what I realized. If I'm not ready for hookups and I'm not ready for a relationship, then what I need to do is I need to get over my relationship first, so then I can go look for my next relationship. That's it. That's the answer. Just accelerate the process of getting through your relationship. And this is the weird thing, and kind of like a whole nother area of topic of how do you get over someone? How do you like move past some of the emotional pain or attachments that you have to someone? It's easy if you know how to do it. And this is how I did it and how I did my transition. And this is probably, if you're transitioning, probably the more important thing to use, because it's not necessarily a breakup with a partner, but it's a breakup with your own identity. It's a breakup with your own self. When you're transitioning, you're learning to let go of the thing that you thought you were. It's to look into your heart and let your attachments and things that you loved about this person die. Wither on the vine. Kill them, murder them, let them die, be ruthless. And I don't mean force it out. I just mean, sorry, you gotta go, slice, you're dead. And let that death leave your body. Don't like carry these things that you're attached to. I know it sounds super brutal, it sounds super sad, but like, this is kind of the thing that we hold on to. We want people to live on in our hearts. We are attached to things. We're attached to things that we identify with. We learn to love these things because we identify with them and because you have attachments to them, right? But you cannot make space for anything new if you are still attached to things that are old, and you gotta let them go. And letting them go has been learning to let go has been one of the biggest lessons I've been trying or been continuing to learn and develop for almost my entire life until I've kind of gotten to this stage. But like, I have trauma and I have things from since like 5 years old that I had to spend 10, 20 years learning to let go. And the best, fastest, and cheapest way to let these things go is to not just like say, okay, I'm gonna let you go fly away, because a part of you may still feel attached to it and you feel like you're losing something. It's to actually be a little bit more brutal and say, I'm just gonna let you die. Like, you have to leave and die. And in that death, you get this energy back, but it's not in the form of what it was. So my attachment to this relationship with Vincent, there's all this energy wrapped up in there, and it's configured in a shape. And I'm talking about the energetic practice of doing this, the shamanic practice, the chakra practice, whatever, the mindfulness approach. Your energetic body and system is attached to this thing that you've manifested with your brain too. And it's locked in a certain form, and it's your energy potential, but it's locked in this form of this attachment to this relationship. So you have to unconfigure it. You have to let it return to what I would say is a formless state, because it is in a locked form, in a locked shape. And because of that, it has a certain signature and associations, and it can only be that because of how you've marked it and shaped it. So you have to let it leave, die, return to a formless state. So it's its essence, it's just energy at that point that is yours. And that can come back. And now that it is formless, it can take new shapes, it can take new forms, it can be something else. You can be something else. Your relationships can be something else. You can go past all of those patterns that you've been stuck in and get into a new place that is more accurate and more present for who you are now, getting rid of the old things that you can let go of and that no longer serve you. It's about letting things die, wither on the vine, letting the form become formless, and then taking it back and letting the formlessness return its essence. You know, like if you take a flower and you pull it apart or you burn it and you get it in carbon, that is its essence, right? That is the formless state. That is the molecules of carbon. And that carbon goes through a process of transformation to be turned into a flower, right? Same with your energy, and same with what you create with your neurological processes, your heart, your energy. All these things are connected. You're programming your reality. This is about deprogramming your reality and reprogramming your reality is another way of framing it. So how did I even get here? I'm loving this. This is really cool. Yeah, so I'm not doing hookups anymore. I am reprogramming my reality, and I am saying, all right, hookups are a waste. I just need to get over Vincent. I need to move past that and then start dating and start seeing who can actually be my partner for my next relationship. And the only way that I can accelerate that is to get over and let wither on the vine, die my attachments to this previous relationship, and move on and move forward. And if you're wondering how to do this, how to practice this, I'll give you something right now. It's really simple. You place your hand over your heart, and you just go into your heart, and you allow the thing, like close your eyes right now, just put your hand on your heart. Whew. Let out a sigh, let out a breath. So I'd like you to take a look at your heart for a second. And this will only just be a minute. But just take a look at your heart for a second and find that feeling of this thing that you're thinking about or feeling. In my case, it could be my relationship. In your case, it could be about you. It could be about a relationship with someone else. Look at the feeling that your heart has and what it's responding with. And see if you can grab that and just like hold on to it for a second, and then allow it to leave your heart. And as it floats out of your heart, for it to actually start to wither and die. And it can feel like you're burning it. It can feel like it's withering. Just let it out and just let it actually die right there. Yeah. And as you're letting it die, notice how you are feeling all of these attachments and all of these reasons to not let it die and all of this sadness and fear of letting it die. You may even, I do this sometimes, grab it and put it back in your heart because you don't want it to die. And so this is a process of just kind of letting it out again and continuing to let it die. And if it's coming boomeranging right back to you, that's okay. Just kind of continue to deprogram yourself from this attachment so that you can learn to let it go. Let it die. Let it return to carbon. Let it return to its essence. And as it returns to its essence, allow it to come back to you and back to your heart when it's time. it can kind of sit outside of your being for a little bit, but kind of just allow it to return on its own due process. It could take weeks, it could take months, it could just take a day or a second. Just allow it to be outside of you and let that go, that attachment go to that story, that narrative. Yeah, so that's kind of the practice. That's how you do it. I'm Ashley Adamson, and yeah, if you like meditations like that for embracing your femininity, I actually have one of those on my website. If you're transitioning, I am selling a book, and if you like what I do and want to support me, give me a super thanks or pay me some money on Patreon. I really appreciate that. We have the Trans Club, which is a club, a community of trans folks. You can apply for that in the Discord, and maybe I'll see you there, and I'll see you in an episode soon. Bye.